Hello, everyone. I am back with chapter 18 of System Synthesis, titled I Have Acquired a Kitten. Sometimes Isuku really overestimates his abilities. He's so used to writing notes about heroes on the fly and quickly, but what he didn't realize was that writing about one hero at a time and writing about multiples at once has a lot of differences. In short, he couldn't complete his analysis on time before school hours ended. He had been writing through Kaminori's quick analysis when the final bell rang, and all the students were packing up their bags ready to leave. Oi, nerd, you coming? Katsuki gruffed, still irritated about coming in third place. Itsuki glanced at him, then at his notebook, and then at the time before sighing helplessly and letting his head hit the desk. I'm pathetic. I'm aware, Katsuki replied. What did you do this time? Itsuki's reply ended up being muffled by the desk and his notebook. That earned him another irritated huff from his friend. Whatever, I'm leaving, loser, he said before walking out in his casual stomping manner, growling at Kirishima when the redhead accidentally bumped into him. But Kirishima, undeterred by the aggressiveness, only lit up seeing the blonde and started a one-sided conversation. Kaminori joined in a few seconds later. 10 minutes later, the class had emptied and Ichiku still remained in his seat, marinating in his misery. He had already waved away Uraka's enthusiastic offer to walk to the gate together and gave a not so convincing thumbs up when Shinzo raised his eyebrow at him. A few minutes later, the class door slid open once again. Ichiku didn't need to look up to see who it was. The door opened, and yet no sound of footsteps followed it. So far, he only knew of one person, apart from himself, who walked that quietly. What are you still doing here? His dad asked, drowning in misery. Isuku answered. A short silence, and then Shota mumbled, You're spending way too much with that overgrown chicken and Hisashi. Isuku huffed out a laugh. I'm sorry. What for? I couldn't finish the work you gave me. Isuku lifted his head, a pout on his lips as he looked at his dad dejectedly. He pushed the notebooks he had been using for the analysis forward. I only got a few done. Shota blinked, forehead furrowing slightly as he walked over to the desk. Isuku gnawed on the inside of his cheek, seeing that. He looked down at his lap, fiddling with his fingers as his dad skimmed through the work he had done. He asked me to do one thing, and I failed. Why am I this useless? He heard a sigh, and then a hand ruffled his hair. Confused, he looked up at his dad. Huh? I'm sorry. I should have worded it better. I didn't mean to pressure you, he said. Why are you apologizing? It's my fault. I couldn't kid. There were 20 students, Shota interrupted. Not even professionals can finish all the analysis in the time you have. He placed the notebook down. Honestly, I was just hoping for a short one-para analysis. He paused and sighed once again. Then, after glancing at his notebooks once again, he huffed a laugh. It completely slipped my mind how detailed your analysis is. Itsuka pursed his lips. But what am I supposed to do now? I don't have the recordings from the match. And I still have, he pointed to the books, 12 analyses left. He glanced at the most recent notebook. Well, 12 and a half. He frowned and continued. Also, he looked up. I have a serious question about how some of the costumes got approved, and you should look into Kaminari's records. His dad's face grew serious. What's wrong? Well, starting with the most outrageous one, Hakakura's. I only assumed that at first, but I asked her later on, and my guess was right. He gave a deadpan look. Her costume consists of just gloves and boots. You mean? Itsuku saw his dad's left eye twitch. Oh, he's mad. And pinched the bridge of his nose, letting out a strained sigh. During hero training, she's essentially days naked? Itsuku nodded. She said she didn't have any design in mind, so she just gave her quick description and that's what she got. He's sure he just heard his dad cuss. Ah, bad word. You gotta pay up. Shota rolled his eyes and dragged a chair to the front of his desk and sat down. Fine, fine. Anything else that requires immediate attention? Oh yeah, Yairozu's costume. Isuku replied. Remember Aunt Nummy's costume when she first started out? His dad frowned. Why do you know about that? I did an analysis on her and that came up. His dad let out a tired sigh. Go on. Right, so, Yairozu's costume is basically like that, but with he waved his hand in a so-so motion. 5% more covered. Apparently, the very important fact that Yairozu is clearly uncomfortable in it, it gives zero protection. At least Aunt Nemi's suit was made of bulletproof and fireproof material. I mean, I understand because of Yairozu's quirk, she needs to have easy access to her skin, but her costume is just ridiculous. And she said she too just gave a description of her quirk and requirements. His dad looked really, really exhausted and angry. Oh, and Kaminari. Itsuku picked up the notebook where he had been writing about it. I couldn't get into too much detail cause class was over, but the main problem was his control over it. Apparently, if he uses his quirk over a certain wattage limit, Itsuku slumps his shoulders. Well, in his words, he goes dumb. His dad blinked. Isuku thought it was hilarious how a single action showcases so many emotions at once. Elaborate. Exceeding his wattage limit makes him short circuit. I saw the footage. He used a high voltage attack once and stayed out of commission for 15 minutes. There is no way it won't lead to serious permanent damage to his brain in the future. He has minimum to zero control over his quirk, but he tilted his head as he recalled his conversation with him. It's not his fault. His counselor never told him about it. And his parents? Shota asked, raising his eyebrows slightly. Both his parents work overseas. His dad's eyebrows shot up. He lives alone. Oh, no. Itsuku quickly replied, realizing his mistake. No, he lives with his grandparents. But he can't ask them for help either. They're his dad's parents. And he said his dad's side doesn't have electricity-based quirks. He got his quirk genes from his mom, but he can't ask for her help either, because her quirk is really different from his. His mother's quirk is attracting electricity towards herself and then redirecting it. Kaminari's quirk discharges electricity. He sighed and pushed the notebook towards his dad. He's actually pretty quick at learning things. I just explained it to him once, and he can create a small amount of discharge between his fingers. How did you get so much information in a single day? Shota asked with slightly wide eyes. He's talkative, Itsuku answered with an amused smile. And I checked his student record. Shota looked even more baffled. Nezu let you see the student records? I asked politely. Itsuku replied with a cheeky smile. And I said please as well. Shota didn't smile, but he did look amused. Alright, smartass, pack up your bags. But what about the analysis? Itsuku asked, picking up his notebooks. I'll bring a copy of the recordings with me. Shota replied. You can do it later on at home if you want. Okay. Itsuku packed up his bag. Are you going to get a copy from Principal Nezu or All Might? All Might. Can I come? You literally saw him an hour ago. I know. Shota stared. Itsuku stared back. His dad sighed. Fine. Itsuku beamed. Thanks! What did you pack in your bag? Shota asked. An extra set of clothes, my notebooks, and pencil. And Itsuku trailed away. Those are the major ones. I don't remember what else is in there. Why are you taking an extra set of clothes? I still have 5 kilometers of running left, Itsuku replied, pointing to the screen in front of his head. Though, for his dad, it was just empty space. Both of their apartments were slowly becoming empty. Most of the stuff was packed up in boxes. The shift wasn't something Itsuku was made aware of until high school started. Not like Itsuku minded either. Apparently the new location would be much closer to UA, and both Shota's and his mom's workplace. But he had been curious as to why they were shifting so suddenly. Apparently his mom wanted to move out a long time ago, but couldn't bring it up in a conversation. again. This place isn't big enough for us all, honey, she explained, which Ichigo agreed with. Because of his quick skill, disassemble and assemble, he had been working with tons of scrap material, and he had long run out of room to stuff them into. He'd keep them in Shota's house, but then Dobby started living with them, and Shota's reason was, maybe I'm being paranoid, but the crime grounds are shifting, and it's too close to this place for my liking. Ichigo didn't mind the move, it's just, it would have been better if he had more time. Then he could go through his scrap materials to see if there was something useful that he could bring with him. Remember to notify either me or your mom if you can't finish the quota, Shota reminded, holding the door open as Ichigo skipped out. Got it. Ah, there's my favorite little bird. A familiar voice cheered. Ichigo felt a wide grin spread on his face as he turned around and was greeted by the sight of the number 3 hero, arms and wings spread apart for a hug. He wasn't wearing his usual hero costume, but a jacket similar to his costume, only red and black, a black tank top underneath, and red pants to match his jacket. Hawks! Ichigo squealed, rushing at him, and practically slamming into the hero. Hawks huffed out a laugh, wrapping his arms and wings around him. Love the energy, he said, sounding all too pleased. Ichigo noticed him eyeing the door to his dad's apartment and said with a cheeky grin, Dobby's not here. The number 3 hero turned an amazing shade of red and spluttered, but I wasn't thinking about that. I just stop, Shota sighed. I don't get paid to deal with secondhand embarrassment. Hawks fluttered his wings and pouted, Shut up. Shota hummed non-committedly, locking the door. At latest, we'll be back by 8. You're invited for dinner. We're ordering Thai. Awesome. And Shota turned around, giving a stern glare to the two of them. Do not buy Ichigo ice cream before dinner, no matter how cute his puppy eyes are. Hawks tilted his head, a teasing grin forming on his face. Speaking from experience? Shut, Shota shot back. Hawks snickered. How are we going to your house? Ichigo asked. You don't have a car. Don't need one. Hawks proudly pointed to his wings. Hawks special service for my dear little bird. Ichigo gasped and frowned. What if I'm too heavy? Shota huffed. If he finds you heavy, he should be embarrassed. Don't worry, buddy. Hawks pointed at his bicep. Your big brother's gotcha. Good. Shota replied before Ichigo could. Now scram. Ichigo's never flown before, but he had jumped from high-rise buildings. The feeling of free falling, gravity tugging you down, the wind whistling against your ears. He had never flown before, but he assumed flying to feel somewhat like that. But right now, as he gripped tight on the Hawks, well, they hear feeling right away. I'm so jealous, Ichigo mumbled, knowing Hawks could fly whenever he wanted, but he couldn't. He didn't need to see to know Hawks was smirking, and he could feel him laugh. If you don't tell your dad, I'll sneak you free rides every now and then, Hawks replied. Ichigo hummed. I'll send you pics of Dobby. He hid a grin into the hero's jacket as the winged hero fumbled in his flight. He wasn't scared if Hawks momentarily lost control, before quickly flapping his wings to stabilize himself. Cute ones or hot ones? Hawks asked after a second. Depends how many free rides do I get? Ichigo asked in response. How many do you want? Both cute and hot ones then. Ichigo replied. I'll sneak in some of him sleeping as well, if I feel generous. Why thank you, my kind sir. Ichigo laughed, then he squealed when Hawks swooped down at rapid speed. When did you buy this house? Ichigo asked as they landed onto the roof of Hawks' apartment. It was a loft-style condo on the second highest floor, and everything inside screamed Hawks. Starting from the unreasonably high ceilings, providing more than enough space for Hawks to fly around. Minimum furniture and seats specialized for someone with wings. Wooden bars hung from the ceilings, most likely used by the number 3 hero to put upon whenever he felt like it. A hanging staircase led up to the second floor. One side of the place was entirely windows, from the ceiling down to the floor, and it gave a breathtaking view of the city city skyline. About 6 months ago, Hawks replied, tossing the house keys somewhere Isuku couldn't quite see. Hey, can I live here? Isuku asked, pressing his forehead against the window to get a look at the roads down below. He heard a snort and then, sure, buddy, from behind him. When he turned around, he saw Hawks plopping down on one of the seats with a low backrest. So, what do you want to do? Isuku eyed the huge TV and the gaming console attached to it. I think we made the number 3 hero a game addict. How about a few rounds of Apex Heroes? Isuku proposed. Winner gets to choose Snack's order. Hawks grinned. Alright, little bird. He hopped up. I've been polishing my game and I'm about to beat your ass. Isuku snorted. Bet. How? How do you win every single match? Hawks all but screeched. One loss away from tossing the entire setup out of the window, along with the TV. Isuku giggled, face red and tears pooling in his eyes as he clutched his aching stomach. It's your quirk, isn't it? Hawks demanded, poking him with the controller. That's how you win every match. Isuku laughed even more and shook his head. Analytic mind didn't work like that. That would make it omniscient. Instead, analytic mind works more like a bookmark. For any given situation, analytic mind puts all the required information on the forefront of his mind so that he can recall it in a split second. It also manipulates his thinking to a certain degree, with the help of concentration, to make him focus on the correct information groups. That aside, he has to make the connections between the hints by himself. For playing video games, it does provide him with the patterns and hints to clear a level. But in the end, if Isuku doesn't realize the hints, it won't work. Then how? Hawks asked desperately. Isuku took in a few deep breaths to calm his laughter. He wiped away the tears from around the corner of his eyes and pushed himself up slightly. Then he looked at Hawks in the end and said, I'm just that good. A pillow hit his face and bounced innocently on the floor. Isuku fell back once again, giggling and laughing. Isuku heard him mutter about how unfair it was and how he was definitely cheating somehow, and he will find out the truth eventually. And once he does, it's over for Isuku. My stomach hurts. Isuku breathed out, finally coming down entirely from his laughing fit, and sprawled on the floor like a starfish. He saw Hawk stand up and stomp away to the kitchen. He took out a bottle of fruit juice before flying out to the second floor, all the while pointedly looking away from Isuku's direction. Isuku giggled a little more before sobering up and checking the time. He gasped when he realized it was already 6 in the evening. Hawks, Isuku called, checking his daily tasks. I need to head out. Hawks popped his head out from over the glass handrail. Isuku noticed that all the glass dividers, windows, and panels in the windows were slightly tinted. He had an inkling of doubt that it was like that because otherwise Hawks would run straight into them. Hawks didn't know, but Isuku had once caught him walking straight into a glass sliding door at his dad's house and then pretending like it didn't happen. He was lucky it was just him who saw it. Where? He asked, running. Do you have to? Can't you take a break today? I had this daily quota of exercises I need to finish, and I put an emphasis on need, like heavy emphasis, because I absolutely need to complete the quota before midnight. That's a tad bit dramatic, don't you think? Hawks replied, amused. Isuku solemnly shook his head. No. I'm not being dramatic. You can ask my dad. I'll put off dying for another day if I haven't finished my quota. He seriously would. He still had an extra life left, so if he dies, he would only come back to life, most likely right before midnight, so he would have no time left to complete his daily tasks. And Isaku did not want to come back to life just to be chased by wild animals. Why do you sound so believable? Hawks mumbled, flying down. Alright, how much running do you have left? 5 kilometers, Isaku replied. He simply did not have enough time in the morning to run all 10 kilometers, and he knew one of these days it was going to come back to bite him in the ass. Geez, how much do you run every day? 10 kilometers? Isaku deadpanned. As per his assumptions, the amount of exercise would stay the same until he got better control of One for All, because using it to punch or kick did cause throbbing pain. I'll tag along, Hawk said, putting on his shoes. Isaku grinned. If you get left behind, I won't wait for you. Oh, please. Hawks playfully rolled his eyes, as if. Bet? You're a nuisance, Hawks grumbled, catching up to him. Isaku snickered as the number 3 hero puffed and panted. They couldn't start running from Hawks' house because it was close to one of the populated districts, and they didn't want to be flocked by fans or reporters, so Hawks had to fly him to a less populated part before they could start running. Hawks was fast, even on his legs, no doubt about that, but he didn't have the stamina to maintain his speed all the way. Isaku easily overtook him during the last kilometer. Alright, let's race on our way back. You can use your wings, Isaku offered. Immediately Hawk straightened up, a smirk stretching on his face. When it gets to pick the dessert. Okay, Isaku agreed. The way back would be almost a straight road with a few turns here and there. That meant Isaku could use sprint without much problem. He checked the Hawks' profile to see where his speed stats were. Name, Takami Kego. Username, Hawks. Age, 22 years. Language, Japanese. Level, 225. Rank S. Quirk Fierce Wings. A. Description: Fierce Wings grants the user a pair of large red wings made up of dozens of feathers. They can freely manipulate each individual feather using their mind. Status: Titles: Number 3 hero, Janice. HP: 26,200 out of 28,500. EP: 36,500 out of 40,050. Statistics: Strength: 275. Dexterity: 245. Speed: 355. Charisma: 175. Intelligence: 297. Should I use fire breathing as well? Alright, ready? Hawk started flying up to an electric pole and perching himself up there. Isaku quickly got in line, getting in position right next to it. Set. Alpha 1 in effect. Fire breathing is in effect. Sprint is in effect. Go, they chorused before bolting. Hawks had a smug grin on his face as he flew down, wings flapping proudly behind him. He won by a second. As soon as the hero's feet touched the ground, he bowed down dramatically, all complete with one hand in front of him, the other behind him, and wings spread out to their complete wingspan. And the victor is me, he declared. Isaku smiled and clapped. Woohoo! Amazing performance! Magnificent! Hawks grinned even more. Alright, let's head back. It was already dark in the evening, so they didn't bother flying back home. Instead, they walked back with Hawks pushing him away from every ice cream shop they came across. Did you pick out your elective subjects? Hawks asked suddenly. Isaku, slightly surprised by the random topic, took a second before answering. I picked 2. Specialized heroics and, well, the second one I'm not sure what to call it because I'm the only student. Huh? Hawks looked at him curiously. How come? My other elective is essentially private classes with Nezu. Hawk Jackson, Isaku said, confused because his dad, Hisashi, and Namuri all gave the exact same reaction. He's not that bad. It's kind of fun. What does he teach you? A lot of things, Isaku answered. Coding, information gathering, making analysis. So, cyber sabotage, counter-espionage, intelligence gathering, and analysis making, Hawk said flatly. Itsuki wrinkled his nose. He said we'll delve into espionage from the second month. Great, Hawks huffed. Meow. Itsuki stopped walking when he heard the soft, shrill meow. What's wrong? Hawks asked. I think I heard a cat, Itsuki replied, frowning slightly as he tried to focus on the sound of the cat once more. Meow. It's in that box, Itsuki said, pointing to a cardboard box laying in front of an alley. He jogged over and crouched down in front of him. He could feel the cat inside of it, moving and breathing. Slowly, he opened the flaps so as to not scare the animal. Inside of the cardboard, on top of a poorly made bed, lay a tiny, furry white kitten. Itsuki quickly realized what was wrong as the kitten kept whipping his head around in every direction without actually looking at him. The little feline was abandoned because it was blind. Hey there, buddy, Itsuki cooed softly. The kitten looked up at him with milky black eyes. Hi, what did you find? Hawks asked, walking up behind him. Itsuki heard him gasp slightly and crouched next to him. Oh, it's a baby! Itsuki fished out his phone from his pocket and opened the messaging app. The decision was already made. Now he just had to convince his mom and Shota, starting with Shota. Suku, Dad, I need your permission for something. Dad, nothing illegal. Suku, no, this is very legal. Dad, okay, what is it? Hawks, quick, take a picture of me with the cat, Itsuki said, tossing his phone to the hero. Before gently picking up the kitten in his embrace, he used one hand to hold the feline and the other to mess up his hair a bit and make it look fluffier. Then he put on his best puppy eyes and waited for the camera to click. So this is what he meant, Hawks mumbled. He held up the phone and clicked a few pictures. Why are we clicking pictures of you with the cat, though? So that Dad has no room to say no, Itsuki replied, taking the phone back and quickly selecting the picture he thought was the best and most effective before sending it to his dad. Suku, Dad, can I please bring this baby with me? Attached image, JPG. Dad is typing. Dad, make sure to take the kitten to the vet first. Suku, you're the best, thanks, bye, love you. Dad, yeah, love you too. Itsuki grinned and put his phone away. Great, Dad said yes, but we need to take the kitten to the vet first. Nice, Hawks grinned. I know just the place. Alrighty, that is the end of this chapter. I hope you enjoy. I'm sorry for any mispronunciations or stumbling. Bye-bye.